Hey, everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Business Live. I'm looking forward to talking to Merrily Orsini, founder and board chair of corecubed, considered a thought leader in the in-home care services industry. She is the leader, creator, and host of the Help Choose Home podcast, which focuses on educating the masses on how to and when to choose healthcare at home and in later life. What an ongoing, important thing to be talking about. And I think a lot of times people don't know that there's a place to actually be talking about it, right? I remember growing up when my grandparents got old and they had to go into a nursing home. It's like you're scattered and then you're reactive and it's so hard to think proactively about stuff like this. I think the emotions kind of get in the way from what I find, Merrily. And so thanks for being on the show. Let's dive in there, Merrily. Let's talk about how people really kind of take a proactive stance with this to say, this is what I got to do. I got to kind of put my emotions a little bit on the sidelines and be really smart about how I'm moving through this.
Yes, good advice. The other thing is that what you have to realize is that we do not have a long-term care system in this nation. We have a scattered, fragmented, discordant array of services that come together when there is a need, but there's very little coordination and it is very difficult to navigate in that system. So being proactive, which is learning as much as you can ahead of time, is really helpful. But I'll tell you that the main issue with that is that you never know what's going to happen. Right. So you really don't. Everyone ages differently, and I'm fond of saying if you've met one 90-year-old, then you've met one 90-year-old. So whatever they're doing or is wrong with them may not be the same as the other 90-year-old who may still be running marathons. So it's some complicated issues, and you are right, fraught with emotion.
Yeah. And so when you're in that space, what are some of the signs? What are some of the things that you need to be looking at and saying, okay, my parent or my grandparent kind of, checks off these 2 or 3 boxes. So now is the time I need to begin these discussions. Now is the time I need to reach out to somebody like you, Merrily, who, at corecubed.com or, go to you on LinkedIn just to start picking your brain. I would imagine that there's a beginning step of, hey, I would imagine you get a lot of calls of, hey, I think I need you. I'm not sure when or how, and I'm all flustered. Help me, Merrily.
And the issue is that no matter what good intentions you have, that person who needs care is going to be the one that's going to govern this. So the person may be resistant to care. The person may be in total denial that they have a care need. The person may be, as I ran into this week, someone who really thought they were going to live forever and was quite shocked that death was going to be a component of the end of their life. And I said in all seriousness, did you really not think you were going to die? He said, nope, I thought I was going to escape that part.
Yeah.
So it is, there aren't really check boxes. I think the thing is that people should start fairly early thinking about how they want to live their last days. And by their last days, I don't necessarily mean the few days before you die. I mean, if frailty does happen to take you or to take your loved one. And when someone becomes frail, that is really, or has a fall or has an accident, those are the things that really cause care needs. And, whether or not you choose to live in your own home or move elsewhere when those care needs happen, that's the first big decision that needs to be made. And there's some factors that weigh into that. Number one, you have to be able to afford care. There really isn't a long-term care system. Most people think if they have Medicare that they're going to be covered, and that is simply not the case.
Yeah.
During COVID, I will say that there a lot of changes were made in the care at home industry because of COVID. People realized that they could stay at home with assistance and that it was safer than being in a congregate setting when you had infections running rampant. So there's been a lot of emphasis and actually assistance in that area. So I'm hoping that in the next 10 years, which is really crucial for this country because the baby boomers are going to be, the first wave of those baby boomers are going to be hitting 85 in 2030.
Yeah.
And that is really going to overload the system. So we are actually making some progress now in terms of telehealth, in terms of some of relaxing of regulations so that people can actually make visits and do visits at home and keep people at home. So we're actually moving in a more positive direction. But the biggest thing I can say is learn about it, think about it, talk to people about it, make it a part of the vocabulary so it isn't a surprise to the person who may be needing that care.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Good. So now let's talk about you. Your business is really a marketing business.
Yes,
You're looking
digital
at
marketing.
right. You're looking at the business side of things. And to me, I love marketing, right? So the name of your company is corecubed Aging Care Marketing.
Yes.
And to me, marketing is a way to build market share. It's a way to build mind share. It's so important because, like we said earlier, if nobody knows who to call, they're just going to ask somebody or Google somebody, right? And then just start, long gone are the days they're not going to the yellow pages anymore. I don't think, right? I don't think.
I don't think so. If they can find them, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't even, yeah. And so talk about from a business perspective now, I want to talk about how to grow brand awareness, what marketing communications, effective communications really look like. And to me, everything is about, it's about the long game, right? Because you can't just do something in marketing and then end it. People have a very short attention span, less than a goldfish today, which is less than 7 seconds. And then you take on the idea of the stress of this industry. So people really need constantly reminded. So how are you marketing for your specific clients in this aging care community?
Well, this is not going to surprise you, but we educate. We basically use a lot of different tactics to educate, and we integrate everything. So we're teaching people. If you're a 90-year-old person, you've met one 90-year-old person. So what we do is we look for issues that might possibly affect a person needing care. And so we're telling stories, and we're taking those stories, and we'll focus on some particular thing like Alzheimer's or dementia, for instance. And then we'll teach about it, and we'll educate about it, and we'll provide resources about that. So we tie all that together with a digital marketing strategy that is coming at people from all areas. So I say coming at, it's actually more they're finding, because my advice is find information about it first. So if you Google Alzheimer's disease or how do I care for someone with Alzheimer's, then like as not, you're going to find one of our agencies come up in your service area. And because we've done a lot of education, and you may know this, but the more content that you have that's relevant and unique on your website and associated with your website, the better chance people have of finding you when they're searching. Yeah. So that's been our strategy from the very beginning. And we have clients who have been with us. Goodness, we started this company in 1998. I think we've had clients, some of that have been with us that long. So because we've always believed in digital marketing, but I will tell you, COVID also let people know when you can't do the feet on the street, boots on the ground kind of marketing, what are you going to do? You're going to turn to finding things on the internet. So we've really had a bit of a business boom during the pandemic because people are finally realizing digital marketing does work and they want to have some.
So I'm going to tell you what I love about this discussion, right? You are a company that specializes in the aging care community. Your target audience, I would imagine, is that audience, and also the parents, or in some cases, the children, et cetera. I mean, you're targeting to all those people. But so many people, as of I would say that there's about 5 people in the last week who have said to me, I just hate social media. I hate social media, and I don't want to do it. And I say the same thing to everybody. It doesn't matter what you hate. That's where your people are. Digital marketing is what you must do to be relevant, credible. Doesn't matter what your credentials are. And so I just think so I want to dive into some of the very basic things that I think are critical. Education and unique content, right? Which is what you're doing. And you've been doing this since 1998. So you've been in the game now, it's 2021, for 23 years, right? And so I just want to emphasize the idea and the importance of doing a little bit on a consistent basis. In your case, 23 years compounds to a very big, it compounds to what you need it to compound to grow your business.
Yes.
Right. So just kind of talk about the importance of unique and consistency.
Well, let me first back up and say that the website, the company website, is the most important thing to start with. And because most things will build off that website. And we have a lot of people who still will call us and they have a website that was designed by their nephew. And they don't understand the importance of that.
Right.
So that consistency and the content and how you
Wait,
use
can I just
that.
comment on that? I just want to comment on that too, because one of the things I love about your website, and I've spent a ton of time on my website. I agree with you. My website is the hub of everything, but your website has to be very simple. So the messaging is simple. And that, I mean, if your nephew in your scenario is a talented person and knows how to do it, but you really need a team of experts to make sure that your messaging, your page flow, your content, your layout, I mean, all of that is really, really well thought out. I update my website almost every day. And sometimes it's just like a word to make things even a little bit crisper for the person who is coming onto the website. So I think it's worth talking a little bit about that, because websites have never gone out of style, and they're more important today than ever before to house everything.
To house everything and to access everything, and also to have a place to point to when you're on social media. You always want to go back to the website, because when you're trying to engage someone, you're going to have a small amount of information.
Correct.
But when they want to find out more, and so your website has to give them that more.
Yeah.
It has to be up to date. It has to not have any errors on it. It needs to be responsive to whatever device they're looking on. So whether they're on their phone or an iPad or a PC. So the website, and you are so smart to make changes on a daily basis, because that is what alerts the search engine crawlers that there is something new that they need to stop back by the website and look at. So crucial. And we try to get companies, when they come to us, to also look at their total brand, to look at their logo, to look at how they are positioning themselves, and to really do work on who are their ideal customers and how can they best reach those customers. And the website also plays into that, because just the pictures on the website.
Correct.
And we oftentimes ask our clients to have some professional pictures made of them just in their daily life, and in their neighborhood and in their region, so that when someone comes to the website, one of our most popular clients years ago was in Vermont, and he took photographs of himself, and he was out in his canoe, and his wife and their dogs and some other caregivers and things that were happening in the community. And we were able to parlay that into an amazing business for him, because he was authentic, and and when people went to that website, they didn't feel like they were going to a business website. They almost felt like they were coming into a family album, and it was really effective. He ended up selling that business actually for quite a lot of money, and I take credit for that. So,
all right, good. I'm going to give it to you. Because the power of an idea and the power of guidance, especially when it comes to marketing, is huge. I love that. I haven't used those words, but I've always tried to create my website, johndwoskin.com, as a family album. I have on my About Me page, I have tons of pictures of myself, my family, friends. And I've always wanted that kind of warm feel, although that I didn't articulate it that way, but I am now. I'm going to now. So thank you for that, Merrily. All right. So I want to rewind a little bit on your journey, because success is never a straight line. You have chosen a career that you've been in for 20 plus years that is, I would say, a probably very fulfilling, but in a tough market in a way, because, you know, the topic can be tough. And like you said earlier, you know, it's like a family album. You don't want people feeling like you're coming to a company. What you do is really special and very sensitive. And so how did you end up here talking to in this company to date, talking to me?
Well, what you forget is from, let's see, 1981 to 1998, before I started corecubed, I had a care at home business that I started. Elder Care Solutions was the name of it, and it was actually the model that we started, which is a mouthful, but it's a care managed, non-medical, long-term care business, and that is actually what people need. It's the model that Humana at Home uses right now. Actually, it uses my specific model, and it is the model that, if you do research or literature, that's what everyone says that's the model that works. And the reason that we knew it worked is we developed it, and we developed it from a consumer need. So I had a master's in social work and some ideas, and that's how the business started. So we ended up providing care early on for a patient with Alzheimer's disease, and that was at a time when we weren't even calling it Alzheimer's disease. We were still calling it senile dementia, which is a very old term. But you know, I hired master's level social work students from the 3 campuses that we had in Louisville, Kentucky, where I was at the time, to do research with me and work. And we developed training for the in-home caregivers. We developed different types of policies and procedures and processes that work very well with people who choose to age at home. And so that business I sold in 1996, and the part I liked about it the best, other than my clients, was the marketing component of it. So that's really how I launched into a marketing company, because what I had learned while I had my own company is, number one, nobody does anything about care until they need it. So they come into it, they have a care need, and they have no idea where to start. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was in understanding what we've been talking about, is that education component, which really wasn't a part of marketing at the time, except what we were doing. And then social media came in, and of course the web became more important. So we just sort of, you know, hit the businesses at the right place at the right time with the right idea.
Wow, that's great. Great. I love it. What's one thing in hindsight you would have done differently?
Probably not been as stubborn and bullheaded as I am.
Well, probably as more of a strength than, you know, maybe anything. I mean, you know, to build what you've built, excuse me, you know, takes a lot of, you know, tenacity. So I love it. I love it. Let me ask you this: when building a business today, right? So you started your business in 1998, and here we are together on May 13, 2021, right? We're doing this live interview. We're in some say a pandemic still, some say an endemic, right? And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that they say, and I can see it now, that are going to be coming out of this, because they just, the level of freedom, the values that they're in sync with now, of their own, they're looking for fulfillment. And, you know, what advice would you give somebody who's starting any business today that is the same fundamentally from 1998?
I think seeking wise counsel.
I agree.
And then the second part of that is asking yourself, after you've sought that wise counsel, why you're not listening to it. Mm-hmm. Because it's really hard for people to accept something that is different than what they believe.
Yeah.
And so what I learned that fairly early, is that if someone tells you something you really don't like or you don't believe, but they clearly should know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
back up and figure it out why you don't want to do what they're asking. And if it isn't too much trouble,
Yeah.
do it and then see what happens. Because what I have found out over the years is that you only know what you know. So
Right.
when you hire someone to help you, instead of being resistant to that help, you really ought to listen to them.
Yeah. I'm a big believer that the same level of consciousness that got you to where you are cannot get you to where you want to be.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, I'm in full agreement. I'm a business coach, so I agree with you 100%. But I also believe that you have to sit back, surrender, listen, take guidance, and then work on your own ability to make a decision and actually make a decision, because it's ultimately your decision.
Yes.
But I think what we're both saying is make the decision. Like I say to my clients, so I'll work with my clients and then I'll say, hey, we'll do a deep dive when we kick things off for, a few hours. And then we meet 15 to 30 minutes a week to keep the momentum going, right? To keep the consistency. But what I tell them is you always can access me anytime. I return every call, text, email, same day. But we're together 15, 30 minutes a week. You have to do the work the other 40, 50, 60 hours, right? So there's that level of deep ownership. Yeah. Yeah, I love what you're talking about. Okay, you ready for well, before we get into a quick speed round, Merrily, tell everybody your ideal clients and how they can connect with you. While I let my dog out of my room. While I let my dog out of the room. Keep on going.
All right. Our ideal clients are clients that really do want to grow their business, and are clients who are open to the consulting and to the guidance that we're giving. And I agree with you. They have to feel comfortable with it, but they also have to be comfortable with knowing that if they could have done it by themselves, they would have. Correct. So they're hiring us to do that, and they need to listen to us and work with us along the way. So
I love it. And you can be found at corecubed.com. All right, quick speed round. You ready, Merrily?
I'm ready.
What's the number one lesson, life to date, you hold the closest to you?
Always hire someone who is better at whatever it is you're hiring for than you are.
Yeah, right. Never be the smartest person in the room.
No.
And if you think you are, you're in the wrong room.
Exactly.
or you need a coach.
That's right. A good business coach.
Exactly. Right. Favorite book and why?
Oh, gosh. This is crazy, but I just revisited this. The Celestine Prophecies.
James Redfield. Yes, it is.
Number one, because I wanted it to be true so badly.
Yeah, that book's so good. Yeah.
And number two, because it wasn't true, but I've still now really closely pay attention to when someone comes into my wavelength, and why are they put there, and what is it that we can do for each other.
I love that book. When lockdown happened a year ago, I gave my kids a stack of books, and I said to them, you get $50 if you read the book and verbally go over with me, $100 if you write a one-page paper and go over with me. And Celestine Prophecy was one of those books.
Right.
So,
and for business book, I'd say I still love Peter Drucker. I just think
he's so good.
Yes, it was amazing.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so good. All right, those are great. All right, finish this sentence. One thing every entrepreneur needs to do more of is
be humble.
All right. Define yourself in one word.
Energetic.
One thing nobody knows about you or would be surprised.
I love gardening and getting my hands in the dirt.
All right, good. You're getting gritty. All right, good. I love it. And fast forward 100 years, Merrily, what do you want your legacy to be?
I would like my legacy to be an integrated healthcare delivery system that actually services the population.
I love it. Merrily, you have been a pleasure to talk with. And I just want to kind of highlight a couple things. The power of unique content is so critical. The power of creating a website that creates more of a feel of a family album, the importance of educating, the importance of, you maybe didn't use these words, but I'm going to use these words, the importance of hard work, tenacity, and just, to have a business that's been around for over 20 years, you have to be doing a lot of things really, really right. And so I really appreciate you taking time to be on the show. Any last thoughts, and tell people again how to connect with you?
My last thoughts would be to follow your dream and don't let anyone kill that dream.
Yeah.
And you can connect with me lots of ways. Corecubed.com. My podcast is Help Choose Home. And I have a blog that is MerrilyOrsini.com.
I love it. I just want to comment on Go for Your Dreams. I think it's really important that as people go for their dreams, they really spend some time tapping into their courage, right? Fast forward 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Think about what you want your life to be. Write it down and write the narrative if you need to, so it's in present time. And then look back and say to yourself, am I going to look back and be happy, or am I going to look back with regret? And do not look back with regret. Have the courage, even if you can't make a move today. Keep something alive, because it may take a week, it may take a year, it may take 10 years, but keep your dream alive. I think that's really important. You mentioned a lot about unique and original content. Think community. Feel free to go to my website, johndwoskin.com. I have my book and my 100-page workbook ebook downloadable for free. If you want to pay for my book, you can go to Amazon, but if you want to download it for free, you can go to johndwoskin.com. Merrily, it's been great. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for everything you do. And Think community, if Merrily can help you or anybody you know, please, give her a buzz, corecubed.com. Reach out to her. If any of you are looking and need business coaching to grow your business, feel free to reach out to me. Have an amazing day, everybody. Merrily, thanks so much.
Thank you. This is wonderful. Stay